Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. This is Ask an Agent Anything. And per usual, business is happening right up to the line for us, ladies. Always. We're taking calls, we're making things happen. So thank you, everybody, for being here. We hope it's the same for you guys on the other side of the screen, that business is rocking and rolling for you. Just a reminder, Ask an Agent Anything is the place where we really like to just create the rainbow bridge between agents and investors and the many ways that we can work together. I am an investor and an agent licensed here in Colorado. And I'm with my fabulous co-host, Renee. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. It's always good to be here. Look, it's three ladies. I know this has happened before, but it's kind of rare. We love to support our gal pals here in this industry. And so I'm great. Summer's fabulous. And so whomever's listening to this, if it's wintertime, just know that it's July. It's July 2024. And let's just jump right in because I have a feeling that we're going to go right up to the last minute of this hour because there's so much good stuff. So please, Corianne, if you would, introduce our lovely guest.
All right, y'all. I'm so excited for this conversation because I was the dummy that the first time I ever heard the word DSCR was like, huh? And had to have my buyer explain it to me. But today we're going to save you from the same embarrassment. And we're going to make sure that you're talking to an expert on how these loans work. And it's a really different, fun exit strategy. So hands together, chat in the comment, throw in some love because we have the fabulous Liz with us today. Hi, Liz.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Really, I love these podcasts. I love talking about DSCR loans. I noticed my lighting here, though, is like changing colors. Let me just turn that off back there.
It's a disco.
We're down for a party.
Right? Kind of seem like it.
Well, for those out there who might be as daft as I am and not know what a DSCR loan is and who you are, just give us the whole rundown of, how did you appear in the real estate scene and what do you bring to the table?
Yeah. Well, I have 19 years of mortgage business. 12 of those years, I was a conventional government underwriter. After that, I was a branch manager at Fairway, but now I am a licensed loan officer, mortgage broker, and I've been doing that the past 2 years. I'm also an investor. I've been investing since 2018. I've done my own virtual fix and flips. I've had some long-term rentals and a short-term rental. So I love working with investors. I love the DSCR loan product. I can originate any type of loan. I've got over 200 lenders, but over 80 of them are DSCR lenders. Something that people don't realize is that all DSCR lenders have a different set of guidelines. But to go back a little bit, let's talk about DSCR. What does it stand for? Debt Service Coverage Ratio. What does that mean? Basic gist of it is, does the rental income cover the mortgage payment? So if your rental income is 1,000 and your mortgage payment's 1,000, that'd be considered a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's where that term DSCR ratio comes into play there. But yeah, so I love this business. I love this loan. Like we were talking about earlier, there are some misconceptions out there in the community. It does require a credit pull. You are personally guaranteeing these loans. However, half of my lenders don't report the loan to your personal credit report. Half of them will. I have yet to find a true non-recourse lender. So what does non-recourse mean? That means that no matter what happens to the property, they will never be able to come after you personally. I do not have any non-recourse DSCR lenders out there. I'm sure there are some out there, but there's none signed up with Nexa. All 80 of mine require a credit pull, a hard credit pull.
What is that? What is that would be, though? Oh, sorry, Corianne. I was say, what kind of credit, though? Because I know people get scared, right? They charge everything. Their credit goes down, their credit goes up. Are you looking for like a median number of years credit? Like, say more, because each thing is different in credit. Like going to get a credit card at the mall is different from getting this type of loan credit.
Yeah, well, I mean, a mortgage scoring model is going to be different. If you're going to be looking at, your Credit Karma, we're not going to pull the same scoring model. Typically, mortgage pulls are going to be a little bit lower than what you're seeing on your Credit Karma or your free Experian app. And what we're looking for, most lenders are going to look for either 2 or 3 trade lines. They like to have one season for 24 months and then the other 1 or 2 for 12 months. However, there's always caveats. I've got one lender that requires no FICO score. typically you want to see on these DSCR loans, 680 and above. You definitely get your best pricing in the 700s and over. However, I have one lender that goes down to a 575, and then I've got another one, like I mentioned, no FICO requirement.
Wow.
Now, yes, they only lend up to 50% LTV or loan to value on it, but you can still get into the loan. So they also don't have a trade line requirement, the one lender that has no FICO requirement.
That's beautiful. I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit hole because I have a lot to cover, but what I want to share for the audience and in their listening, because sometimes when you hear somebody say something, then sometimes we go into a shame spiral, like, I have bad credit and thus I can't come play in the game. And, life happens, especially when you get a little bit older. Not everybody's in their 20s, right? So 40s, 50 years old. Sometimes you've been through a divorce. Sometimes you've been through, a couple of divorces, or maybe you're just coming into the workforce. I mean, all of that really matters as far as how can I play in this game? And I think some people's biggest barrier to entry is the money. It's very exciting. You turn on HGTV, you turn on Bravo, you see all the sexy shows, and you might be sitting on your couch thinking to yourself, damn, how can I get in? I keep hearing about this real estate thing. I keep hearing about financial future. And then boom, it comes to the loan and someone's at their home by themselves, like on Zillow, looking up a mortgage score, and they go, womp, womp, I'm not going to, be able to play in this game. But what I'm hearing you say is, don't do that to yourself. Like, go get the education. So can you kind of speak to that just a little bit more, that profile, that scenario, which is very real for a lot of people when life happens? How can you get back on the train or stay on the train when maybe credit or loan to value or those type of things, you just feel like you're at a loss because you've had life happen?
Yeah. And to your point, for the most part, most of us have gone through, some type of credit issue, myself included. And it made me a better underwriter having that happen to me. Because stuff happens to everybody. And, for the most part, when we're looking at these credit reports, we're not looking at everything that you have on there. It's not a DTI driven program. So DSCR has no income and no employment requirements. So we don't care if you filed your tax returns. We're not going to ask about your income. We are not going to check your debt to income ratio. Has nothing to do with that. So the trade lines you have, we just need to make sure you have, 2 to 3 trade lines. Yes, if there's charge-offs, some of the lenders will make you pay them depending on the amount and how long ago. But everybody's got credit issues. And to your point, just reach out and get educated and just find out, even on conventional and FHA loans. So conventional requires a 620 credit score. FHA can go down to a 580. And then even VA loans can go below that on a manual underwrite. So you never know what's out there. Just reach out and call a loan officer, somebody who's educated. As long as you have the down payment, that's probably the biggest thing, especially with DSCR. My one lender with no FICO requirement, they will lend up to 50% loan to value. So you just have to have the money to put down. If you've got the money to put down, most likely you'll be able to get into that house.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nice. Oh, that's perfect. And excuse me for texting, but I had to tell everybody, I'm like, I'm wrong. Come find out the actual facts. Because a lot of people know
it's a
this.
huge misconception out there, the credit piece, huge misconception.
And isn't the usual down payment about 20%?
Yeah, I mean, these loans, they mimic a conventional loan in many ways. So it's conventional loan, 15 to 20% down, DSCR, 15 to 20% down. So yes, 20% is going to be typical. I have a few lenders that are at 15%. However, it is about 2 points higher on the interest rate, 1.5 to 2 points. But the one lender that I was mentioning with no FICO requirement, they actually, because they have a loan program, and it's actually a unique one, that allows a seller finance second with 10% down. So they'll lend 50 to 75% on the first lien. You bring 10% down, seller covers that gap, however much you can talk the seller in to do a seller second. So that loan program, 10% down, all the other lenders are going to be 20% for the majority.
Wow.
So what I want to know, because to me, it feels like the DSCR loan came out of nowhere and all of a sudden everybody was talking about it. Did it come out of nowhere? Like, just give us a little bit of the history of this particular lending and why it's so popular.
It's been around for about, 10 plus years. It's been out there. I don't know why it's coming out now. I jumped on board, about a year and a half ago and started selling these loans when I became a loan officer. I branded myself about a year and a half ago and said, you know what, because I'm an investor, I just want to focus on specializing in this loan product instead of trying to do every loan product out there, talk to all different clients. And I love it. I have referrals coming to me every day. I do not pay for marketing. I don't have to get leads. I just talk about DSCR and do a good job. My ethic is built on, speed, accuracy, and communication, my work ethic. And I just believe if you talk to people, no matter what happens in the mortgage industry, there's always things that are going to go wrong. You cannot be afraid as a loan officer to tell people bad news and to disclose it. And the more that you put it off, the worse it gets. So communicating, speed, these investors want speed. When they're coming to me for a quote, they expect me to get a quote within 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. They don't have a lot of time to be putting in these contracts and making these offers. So speed, accuracy. Also, DSCR is a unique product because every lender has a different set of guidelines. Conventional and government, you can go to a Chase, a Wells Fargo, or Rocket. You'll pretty much get underwritten the same way, have pretty much the same conditions. You might have a couple overlays. Now with DSCR, you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't know this loan product. The LLC structure is important. Some of these lenders will not allow a layered or a nested entity. I'm in the sub 2 PACE mortgage community. They teach us to have a holding company and then put LLCs under the holding company. Half of my DSCR lenders won't allow a nested or a layered entity. So when an LLC is owned by another LLC, that's a layered entity. If you have 3 members in your LLC, but only one of them wants to be on the loan, you have to send it to a lender that allows that. Some lenders want all members to be on the loan. So as a loan officer, you really have to know this product in and out to know where to send your clients.
That's interesting.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, because do you do referrals within a referral? It's just not really how that works, because, obviously there's going to be a lot of mortgage brokers that are going to listen to this. I have friends that are mortgage brokers, and that really isn't their niche. And they do come from more of a mortgage banking background. So say more. Is that something possible? Like if a mortgage broker watches this and they go, oh, I want to work with Liz.
Typically, no, because there's a lot of RESPA. Just like in real estate, there's RESPA guidelines that we have to follow with kickbacks and that kind of stuff. So I would say pretty much probably no. There might be some type of marketing agreement that you might be able to put through with that person if they don't want to originate this loan that we could work on. But, I could throw my referrals to them. I do have clients that come to me for, conventional loans. And I just would rather do DSCR.
Well, that's how you and I kind of met, because, you're doing investing. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I knew-ish the loan. That's why I wanted to have you on here selfishly too, so I could learn, right? Because most people think investor equals cash or hard money, which is some kind of a loan, even though that people always argue and say, no, it's cash. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually a loan. But outside of that, there's not really a lot of other opportunities. So what is it that somebody would be taking a loan out on? Can you take a loan out on this product if it's a bag of trash house, or where's the threshold? Is it more like, where's the threshold on this?
Yeah, so there's no renovation funds that come along with the DSCR loan. I would say, the condition of the property needs to be a C1 through C4. C5 and C6 properties are going to be hard to get through. So if they're dilapidated properties that need a lot of work, any health and safety issues, not going to fly. I would say the appraisals are pretty much underwritten the same way that a conventional appraisal is going to be underwritten. So if the loan wouldn't go for a conventional loan, it's probably not going to go in for a DSCR loan. However, you go to a hard money renovation lender. I have many of those also. I do specialize in those also. DSCR number 1, but I have a lot of hard money lenders that I can send somebody to. And then you're obviously going to have an exit strategy if you're going to hold on to that property. That's very important. I have so many buyers and investors that come to me and, it's the end of their loan and now what do I do? And I have all these fees and they're going frantic. And it's like, you got to think about that a month, 2 months before the house is even done. Make sure you know what you're going to be doing with it. Get out of that loan, because those are high interest rate fees. Hard money loans are interest only, typically 10 to 12%. They're short term, 6 to 12 months. After that, they're going to be charged fees if you want to extend that term. They're not loans you want to stay in.
Yeah. Well,
Is
right.
that the
Go on.
largest percentage of use case that you find, is that somebody flips a property and then moves it from hard money over to DSCR?
Yeah, either that or like I have a lot of people that just purchase straight out rentals. I would say it's probably a third. I'm half purchase or probably 3/4 purchase, and then a third refi. That's probably going to change coming forward. They're talking about interest rates dropping. They've been talking about that all year. However, it's come out a lot more lately, and they got to drop sometime. But yes, I have a large purchase business, and but then I also have a lot of lenders, investors that come to me that are in hard money loans that need to get out of them.
Interesting.
That makes way too much sense.
Ooh,
Okay, Renee, I'm admittedly going to take us on a little rabbit hole. Do you let me? Or okay, okay. And guys, I'm going on this rabbit hole so that you can ask questions about the DSCR loan in the comments. So please use this time. But the rabbit hole that I want to go down, because I've been in real estate for 5 years now. Renee, 19 and a half, you 19. And I noticed something about both of your morals or your character-driven assets that you bring to the business align, where you both are about speed, communication, and doing that as clearly and concisely as possible. And I guess I'm just a little bit in awe. I'm like, did it take y'all 19 years to get there? Is that the secret sauce? Tell me more, ladies. Tell me more.
Well, Liz knows this. Time kills all deals. It doesn't matter if you're in retail or not. Time kills all deals. It's worse when you're in the investor sector. So say more, Liz. That's my 2 cents on that after 19 years.
Yeah, I've always had this work ethic, Corianne. It's just no matter what job I've ever been in, I just take pride in doing the best job that I can do. I care about people. I care about my clients, no matter what line of work I'm in. And I don't know. That's just who I am. But yeah, if you want to be good in this business, I think you need to have those 3 things: speed, accuracy, and communication. There's too many loan officers and agents that you call and they don't answer their phone and they don't get back to you. And, or you call them after 5 o'clock and they won't talk to you until Monday morning, or, so this is not an 8 to 5 business. You have to be available to answer questions for your clients at night and on the weekends. And yeah, I understand you have your personal time. You let them know when you're not available, but for the most part, I'm available for my clients.
Yeah. And since you asked that, and accuracy too, like accuracy is really important, and accuracy comes a lot from a willingness and also experience. There's just certain things. There's many a story that Liz and I could talk about that says, well, here's an instance and that's an instance. And I think you want to look at a person that's been in a business for a long time, that's done a decent amount of transactions, because just because you've been in a business for a long time doesn't necessarily mean you have the experience. And that's no shade on anybody in the business. It's just a matter, like, some people are part-time, some people are referral agents. Liz probably has a very similar situation, with mortgage brokers, right? And that maybe they're not all in. And we've seen some ups and downs in the last 19, almost 20 years where it's very, very easy to get in. You can barely fog a mirror and get your real estate license. So it's too easy to get in. It's too easy to get out. And it's not as simple and easy to stay in. And so when you're talking about being effective, I think also as human beings, we just really vibe each other. And if there isn't a level of sincerity, you'll do enough business to get you paid over time, but there isn't a lot of longevity. And there's one thing that my broker originally told me was, it was a woman, and she said, Renee, this is not cursing, but this is exactly what she said. Renee, do not screw the other agent, because clients come and go, but agents are the ones that stay. So if you do right by the industry within the industry, you'll create a reputation, and thus it'll just kind of spill out into the clients and what they feel, because that may only ever be their 1 or 2 purchases in their year. It's a little different when you're dealing with the investors, but that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten, is that I have a very unusual name. I live in Los Angeles. Within the real estate community, I do have a reputation. Even if people don't know me, they know my name because it's unusual, and they've at least seen me, or I've dealt with them in a transaction. And you would be surprised at what people bespoke on your reputation. Like, your 100%. Energy speaks more about you than the deal, right? So never assume that just because you think you're getting one over on somebody, or you're going to screw somebody in their transaction, that it won't come back to haunt you, because it always does. It's just a matter of when. So don't be that person in the business. And there's a lot of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a small world out there. You don't realize this, especially in this investment community. It's a really small world. And, you know, for those new agents and those new loan officers, you have to persevere. If you're not going to stay and just keep your nose to the grindstone, you got to work hard when you're first getting this business. You know, I was in 17 years, I was in retail. I was inside underwriting, a branch manager. And then I came onto this side, 100% commission. You know, those first 8 months, and I did it 2 years ago almost, in a high rate environment. Those first 8 months were really hard. You know, getting my name out there, just talking to people and just constantly just putting my name out there, just letting them know what I do, going to meetups, you know, face to face. And people, like they always say, they work with people that they like and they trust. So if you're a new agent or you're a new loan officer, you just got to get out there. You got to meet people. You know, it's different if you're not specifically on the DSCR loan product because you're working with other home buyers, but same thing. I mean, get to know your client, build that rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Now, when you were making this transition in your business, because we talk about this a lot too, because I think like the reinvention and the different directions that you can go in real estate, it's one of the reason it draws us creative, right? Because we want to see things unfold and we like to shift and change. So tell us a little bit in your story of these 19 years, like what was the thing that said DSCR, like I'm going to be queen of that? Because we, by the way, crowned you DSCR queen. So
I didn't know I was going to be queen of it until I got in the self-employed loan officer side, you know, almost 2 years ago. And I was just working with investors because I was an investor in that community and I was doing DSCR loans, but I was doing all the other loans too, VA loans, conventional. And I, you know, just one day I said, you know what, I'm just going to brand myself. And I even told a coworker of mine that brought me in the business 19 years ago. And he was like, don't be a one-trick pony. You don't want to just go after one loan product. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a risk and I'm just going to full force. I'm just going to know this product inside and out, all the lenders. I'm constantly getting new lenders. I have a spreadsheet with over 80 lenders with all different tabs on it because they all have a different set of guidelines. And I just went full force on it to know the product, to just market myself. I branded myself the DSCR mortgage gal. And I just started talking on podcasts. And as many people want to talk to me, let's talk about loans.
I love that. I love it. Man, I'm just excited to meet you because it is such a unique, difficult to me type of loan. And now I get to know all the ins and outs. Renee.
Yeah, there's a lot more I can tell you guys. And I know that we're predominantly talking to agents. You can get into a DSCR loan if you're a first-time investor, first-time home buyer. You can get into DSCR loan. You don't have to be experienced investor to get into this loan product. That's what certain lenders, like I mentioned before, all lenders have a different set of guidelines. Some of them won't lend to first-time investors, first-time home buyers. You want to make sure you're talking to a loan officer who really knows this product. They're doing their due diligence, asking all the right questions up front, so they're not sending you to the wrong lender and you're wasting time. You know, time is money in this business. Some other things about the DSCR loan that I can tell you. So we went over the minimum credit score for the most part. You're going to get your best pricing, 780 and above. Doesn't matter if you're an 800, 820, or 780. You're pretty much going to get the same rate, and you're going to get the best rates out there. Minimum loan amounts. So there's a misconception that, you know, all lenders are 100,000 on the minimum loan amount. That's incorrect. They all have a different minimum loan amount. I actually have one lender that has no minimum loan amount. I'm very popular. I have a lot of loans with them in that Midwest. And then we start at 75, 100, 125, 150. But yeah, majority of them are at 100, but there are still lenders that'll lend under 100,000. Minimum square footage. These lenders have requirements for minimum square footage. If you're going to buy a house and it's a single family that's 400 square feet, just be careful. I would definitely vet that out with your loan officer first because you might have a hard time getting financing on it. A lot of these investors, they find these unique properties. Oh, it has 3 structures on it, a duplex and a single family. It's going to cash flow so well. Yes,
Yeah.
but it's going to be hard to get that loan. You know why?
Mhm.
Are there comparable properties in the area? If that unique plot of land with those structures is surrounded by all single family homes and there's no comps, comparable properties, you're going to have a hard time getting the value that you want. It's not that you necessarily have a hard time getting finance, because we'll most likely finance you, but you're going to have a hard time getting the value. I've seen it many times where the investor can't get the value they want because they're buying these unique properties. So just be careful there. We can do portfolio loans, blanket loans. What does
Wait,
that mean?
DSCR will do a portfolio loan?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Girl, falls out chair. Okay, keep going.
So if you find a seller and he's got, I have 4 properties, either he's retiring or whatever's happening, he just wants to get rid of his properties. It happens very often where these investors just want to get out of the business. They want to sell their whole portfolio. We can blanket the loans together under the roof of one loan. They are harder to get done. I've done some blanket loans. They're definitely way more cumbersome. They take longer. You're going to need a longer close of escrow. You can save on the underwriting fee. Whether you have 1 property or 20 properties, most of these lenders will just charge you 1 underwriting fee. So yes, you save there, but you're getting appraisals done on all of them. The origination fee and title fees are probably going to be the same because they're more based off the loan amount. But yes, we can do them. Something to remember when you're doing that, portfolio lenders have a minimum value per property. Most of them is going to be about $75,000. So you don't want to go buy a bunch of $20,000 homes in the Midwest because you're probably not going to be able to finance it, or you're going to have a hard time. Definitely. Let's see what else. DSCR ratio. So we talked about the 1-to-1 ratio up front. However, some lenders want a little higher, 1.25. Some of them will finance it even if it doesn't cash flow. It's called a low ratio or a no ratio if it's under that 1 ratio. You're like, why would they finance that? Well, they're hedging their risk. You're going to get a higher interest rate. They're going to limit your loan to value. Why would an investor want to buy something that doesn't cash flow? It might not cash flow today, but once they take a hold of it, the change management, they might have a different model that they're going to be using on that property, and they see it cash flowing in the future. There's some unique DSCR lenders out there that will rent by the room. So if you have long-term rent by the room, long-term leases, I've got a lender that can finance that. I have one lender that's doing pad split financing now.
Yeah.
Pad split's the big thing out there. Most lenders have never even heard about it. They don't know what a pad split is. But I've got one lender that'll do it. So pad split has its own model where you can buy homes from pad split, and they're already set up to, it's basically like rent by the room, but they're not long-term leases.
That's amazing. We had the gal from Pad Split on.
Oh,
yeah.
I would love to watch that.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. Yeah, that's that's so great you're saying that. So we'll tie that in. Go on. Awesome. I know you had a couple more things.
Yeah, I have a list of a few more things. I just wanted some basic guidelines that I wanted to talk to everybody about. So you typically want to look at a rental property in general from a long-term rents perspective. Does it cash flow using long-term rents? On a purchase, you can be purchasing a vacant property. You don't have to have a tenant in place. There doesn't have to be a lease agreement. That's another misconception out there. So on a purchase, we are going to be going off of the 1007 market rent analysis form. That's the form that the appraiser is going to complete to tell us what the market rent is for that property. That's what the lender's going to use. If there is a lease in place, most lenders do want to see that. And if the lease is lower, a lot of lenders will use that lease agreement. They're going to use the lower of the two. However, there's lenders out there that will use the 1007 over the lease amount. You just have to find the right lender. On a refinance, we can even refi these if they're vacant. That's also a misconception. Everybody thinks you had to have a lease agreement. Now, when we are refinancing on a vacant property, the lenders are going to most likely limit your LTV, your loan to value, by 5 or 10%. So that's how they're hedging your risk. You're like, why would the property be vacant? Well, a lot of times these investors, like we mentioned, they're buying, they're renovating. They haven't gotten a renter in their year. They're coming to me for financing, but they haven't gotten a renter in yet. So that's the case where, we can easily get them into a loan before they even have a tenant in there.
Wow.
Sweet.
So we look at it first from the long-term rents perspective. We can also look at it as a short-term rental. On a purchase, we're going to go to AirDNA. The paid version has a button on there, says projected rental income. That's what the lenders are going to be using to determine if it qualifies up front. Is it even worth your time to go ahead and get an appraisal? That coupled with, is it 60 to 70% occupancy is mainly what they want to see. As long as that looks good, hey, let's go ahead and get that appraisal ordered. The second thing we need to do is get the appraiser to put comparable short-term rental comps on that 1007 and short-term rental comps for the value. So that's definitely been, I'd say, the hardest part of short-term rentals lately. Appraisers are fighting back. They're saying that 1007 market rent analysis form is built for long-term rents. Some appraisers refuse to even put short-term rental comps on there. So a little bit of tension, a little bit of fight. I do foresee some legislation coming down in the future on that. So yes, we could do short-term rentals, long-term rentals, prepayment penalties. So DSCR loans will typically come with a prepayment penalty. It's typically going to be a 3-year or 5-year, a fixed amount or a step down. I have one lender, my one with no minimum loan amount, has phenomenal interest rates with no prepayment penalties. So you don't have to have a prepayment penalty. You can always ask your lender, what's a 1-year prepay? All these lenders would have a 1-year prepay option. Some of them don't have a no prepay option, but they all have a 1 year. So don't think you're stuck just because you get a quote from somebody and it says 5-year prepay, that you're stuck in that 5-year prepay. You can ask for a lower prepay. When that happens, you're going to have either a higher interest rate or it's going to cost a fee to get that lower prepayment penalty. Conventional loans don't have prepays. DSCR do. We mentioned earlier, reporting the personal credit report. Half of my lenders do not report to the personal credit report, meaning they don't report that loan. So if somebody pulls your credit report, half of my lenders won't report it on there. So you're not going to see it. And then half of them do. The ones that don't, though, eventually, if you're delinquent, they're eventually going to get on there. They're eventually come after you. Cash out refi seasoning. So you purchase a property, you do some renovations, and now you're like, you know what? Now I've added so much value. I want to take some cash out of my equity. Lenders all have a different set of seasoning guidelines. I've got a couple that are at 3 months, but most of them are going to be at 6. It's less than a conventional loan, though. Conventional is at 12 months. We could do rural properties, manufactured homes, condos. I can do 1 to 4 units or 5+. So I can do 5 to unlimited units under the DSCR loan product. If you're a foreign national, we can finance you. ITINs. Seasoning off the MLS. So this is something a lot of investors don't realize. You renovate that house, you put it on the market, you're trying to sell it. You can't sell it. Now you come to me for a loan. It's going to matter what lender we're going to. Some of these lenders require 6 months of the home being pulled from the MLS to be able to finance you. Some of them, 1 day. Some of them, as long as it's off by closing. So we just need to make sure we're sending you to the right place. Some of them are going to, if you get an appraisal done, some of them are going to limit the value to what you listed it at, even if the appraisal comes in higher. So a lot of little caveats you got to watch out with these DSCR loans. We talked about, first-time home buyer, first-time investor is allowed. Most of the lenders allow gift funds now. Now, gift funds have to be from a family member. But if your family member has a home and you're going to purchase it as an investment property, they can do a gift of equity, and you're basically going to buy that house with no money down. They're going to be gifting the equity to you. They have to be family members. They pretty much follow Fannie Mae's guideline when it comes to being a gift owner. But great way for you to get into your first rental if you have family that's willing to do that for you. Let's see. We talked about the LLC a little bit. We touched on, some lenders want all members to be on the loan. Some of them will allow one member if you're 25% or more owner. So there's some lenders out there that would allow you to add either a credit guarantor onto your LLC to put the loan under their credit if you have bad credit. There's also some lenders that allow you to add your private money lender to your LLC. And as long as they're 25% or more owner, the funds can come from them. They don't have to be on the loan. Now, everybody's always asking me, what about the down payment and where it comes from? A lot of these investors are getting money from other places. Lenders, for the most part, they want to source and season the funds for 30 to 60 days. So they're going to ask for either 1 or 2 months of bank statements to see where the funds come from. Any large deposits are going to be questioned. However, there's some DSCR lenders that don't care where the money comes from. They just want to see it in your LLC bank account before closing. And then I've got another lender that goes 10 days back. So, be upfront with your loan officer. Make sure you're disclosing all the information. Don't try and hide things because eventually they're going to come up. Underwriters that are inside, they dig. Underwriters, they pull third-party fraud reports and other reports. They're going to find houses in your name. If there ever is a foreclosure you got off there, don't try and hide anything because they're gonna figure it out eventually. If you live rent-free and you're trying to buy an investment property and you're a first-time home buyer, I can still get the loan done. There's lenders out there that will do that loan. Most lenders want to see that you have a history, a primary housing history, whether it's rent or a mortgage. We are credit FICO driven and we care about mortgages on your credit report. So mortgage rates are a big deal with DSCR. Any mortgages that report on your credit, we want to see a history. We're going to see, that you're up and current on all those loans, the last 12 months particularly. Your primary residence housing history, the last 24 months, we don't want to see any late payments. So late payments are a big deal. The credit, the late payments, just keep that up. Everything else we don't care about. We don't care if you're charging all your credit cards and you're maxed out on them. Just don't be late on your mortgages.
Oh, man. Okay, so what I'm taking away is that as long as I know you know the right people. Because all of these lenders have sort of like different hoops to jump through, but you seem to have it locked as to who and what hoop to jump.
Well, I'm a loan officer. So I would be the loan officer that would be sending you to that lender. So whether you're going to Chase, that's another question I get asked all the time. How do you get paid? How is it different if you're going to Chase Bank to get a loan? You're paying me the same way you're paying that loan officer. People have a misconception that if you're coming to a broker, you're paying all these other fees and you're paying, your same amount of money is being paid to me as it is.
We're dog lovers here, so it's fine.
The joys of working from home, right?
Right, it's all good. It makes it real.
Yeah, I have a little slobber spot right on my lap from my dog's head just sitting there earlier today. So
he normally doesn't bark. There must be somebody out front. Hold on.
Something's exciting. Okay.
Ooh, something good. Oh, Renee, thank you for bringing such an amazing guest. I'm learning so much.
Oh, Liz, I'm telling you. First time I also saw her and then met her. We're talking about you, Liz. Now you came back. I was like, this gal, I got to get to know her. So, because, I'm a connector. So even if I don't utilize your product specifically for clients that I'm working with, I just know a lot of people. So sometimes I just give the information, hey, call Liz. You know what I mean? I'm that person. So I'm always a student of the game so that I know that I can be a resource and a referral for the greater whole. It just moves the needle forward within the industry. I'm a firm believer in karma. It'll just come back to me. Look, I'm not here giving away the shop. We all have to earn a living. But if I just say, oh, your name and Liz and, this and Corianne, and it's fine. It all comes back in some other way. Sometimes it's not even real estate. I might find $100 on the ground. Who knows? Right? Anyway, it all comes back.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I don't mind loan officers come to me. They're like, who's that lender? And I'll tell them I have no qualms helping other loan officers out there. There's plenty of business out there. There's plenty of investment properties and plenty of investors. We're not fighting against each other. I know that it's rough right now in the mortgage industry. A lot of people are hurting, but, we can help each other and bring each other up in this business.
And that's something interesting. Go ahead.
Do you specifically work in? This is a detailed question, and then we'll jump to Renee. But what states can you work with people in?
So DSCR can do nationwide. I'm licensed in 17 states to do conventional and government loans, but DSCR can do nationwide because only, I think it's 9 states require a license to do DSCR loans, and only certain lenders require a license to do DSCR loans. So watch out, community, who you're talking to, because you might be talking to somebody who just got in the business and said, you know what, I'm just going to start selling these DSCR loans because they don't have to be licensed in certain states and with certain lenders. So, but for me, because of that, it's a good thing for me because I can do DSCR nationwide.
Amazing. And that is such a mic drop too. I want the audience to heed that as a call, because I think sometimes, especially in the investor world, I don't hear it so much on the retail side with, say, real estate agents and such, but a lot of times I hear this passing comment of almost quick money. No one's saying that, but it's their intent. Oh, I'm going to do, bankruptcy. I'm going to do probate. I'm going to do divorce. I beg of the listening audience to please bring on professionals, no matter what niche lane you're going down, because I did a lot of probate in my career. And I noticed even probate lawyers were not full-time trust or probate lawyers. They were just it was an add-on like this, I'll just do some probate and make some extra money. And it really messed up deals. And it was a horrible experience all the way around for myself, the buyer or seller client, typically. And people are already in a highly charged environment at best. Somebody who's buying a single family property that they want to live in, they just want to create memories, maybe have a little bit of a write-off. That's as vanilla as you get. And then everything else from there is more charged, and there's still going to be 100 questions. So please, to the listening audience, make sure you get with a professional and you vet the person that you want to do business with, and don't do this as a side hustle. It doesn't work. And the client is the one that really suffers. So just like you're saying, Liz, I'm sure you've got a bunch of war stories, and then you get the leftovers get sent your way, and now you're a solutionist. You're trying to fix all the problems. So anything else you can kind of add on that? I know I was a little harsh about it, but just to kind of hit it home, because I just keep hearing like, well, I'm going to do FOMO. I'm going to do probate. I'm going to do wholesaling. I'm going to do creative financing. And it's like, stop the madness. There's enough money to be made in any one of those lanes.
Yeah.
But do you find that you're kind of in the cleaning up shop because you have become a specialist, or is that just my opinion?
I hear horror stories all the time.
Yeah.
People coming to me just because they got sent to the wrong place, and then they're wasting 2 weeks, and you can lose your earnest money, by doing that. And then somebody telling you to release the financing contingency, and then your loan gets declined. I mean, so it's not a good situation. I'm not saying that everybody that sells these loans are not good at what they do. However, like Renee mentioned, just vet them out really well. You want to make sure you're working with at least somebody that's been doing it for a while, because it is a very complicated loan product, and you can definitely be sending people to the wrong lender because you haven't uncovered all those little niches that you don't even know that you need to uncover.
Oh my God, Corianne.
I don't want to drag anybody through the mud, but I personally feel very confident that whoever told you not to be a one-trick pony was totally wrong, because even here, I mean, that was like 15 minutes of the different things that we need to know as to whether or not this is the right loan. And even in there's nuance. So very grateful to know you and know that you can do it nationally. Yeah,
he comes to me and admits that he's wrong. I've been the last couple of months top 10 underwriter in units at Nexa Mortgage, and we have over 2,500 loan officers here. Wow. So my second year being a loan officer, being top 10 is pretty amazing for me. And it's in units, not in volume, because I take any loan size. I don't care if the loan's $40,000 or it's $1 million. To me, I'm going to treat that client the same way. I am not a transactional lender. I'm here to build a relationship. Yeah, I might only make $300 off your loan. It's not a big deal to me. I did a loan last year for a guy for $40,000, and he tags me all over Facebook when somebody says DSCR. So he's brought more business to me than probably any of my clients, and I didn't make any money off of his loan, but I didn't. That's not the point here. It's the karma and what you do for people, and so yeah.
Oh, that taught it full circle. See, you said what I was saying earlier, right? It's like you just do good and be good, and it will come back to you. And that's a life creed. This is not real estate only. This is one equity of your life, Liz, of your life, Corianne, of my life. It's my career, right? My work at equity. And so just make sure how you are in one place is how you are everywhere. And it'll come to show itself. In fact, I'm really doing high kicks over this NAR thing. And not that I wish anybody ill will on the way out the door, but all the bitching and moaning is really because this is a craft. And listen, do I think it's a pain in the butt? Yeah, I kind of do. I wish it kind of wasn't going in this direction, because it's like one more thing now that I, need to overcome. But the confidence that you build by being in an industry for some time, by being in a sort of somewhat specific lane for some time, you'll just build the confidence in doing it. And like life, there's always going to be something to the left and to the right. And so either you get out or stay in, pull up your boots and stay in. And that's what I hear you saying, Liz, and, myself included. I know Corianne's right behind us, even though she hasn't seen or been in, shifting markets necessarily that much in her life. This is where your career's made. I tell you, I made my career in 2007, 8, 9. It was hard, but I learned a lot. And that's why I'm still here working with investors, because I
gotta persevere. Mortgage industry, real estate industry, you have to persevere. It's going to be up and down. I have survived so many layoffs when I was an underwriter at Wells Fargo, and it's hard. It's coming down. All your files are getting audited. There's a misconception out there that underwriters can just approve a loan if they like the person, that's not correct. There's specific black and white guidelines that underwriters need to follow. It doesn't matter what loan product it is. As an underwriter, former underwriter, your files get audited on the back end, and you can lose your job if you're not following those guidelines, particular, black and white. So it all matters.
And that's interesting you're saying that, because I know sometimes, if someone's just buying something conventional, like this would be maybe for an agent listening to this, sometimes agents can get really frustrated, with a loan officer, because they're asking for this, they're asking for that, and you wish they just asked for it all up front. But it sounds like, whomever's coming down on you, it's like, now you just got to play the game and be patient. And that's why you want these professionals on your side. You want a good agent that's going to hold your hand and keep the calm. And then you want a loan officer that, even though there's bumps in the road, it always closes for the most part. I mean, even in my career, some of the toughest retail loans I've ever done, they always closed. I never had to cancel on that.
There's always stuff that's going to happen in the mortgage business. Whether you're an agent or you're a buyer, stuff's going to happen. Just be on the lookout for it. It's rare that loans just smoothly go through. They don't ask for anything additional. That's a rare circumstance. There's always something that comes up that you didn't foresee. You learn a lot in this business the hard way, unfortunately.
Ain't that the
You're
truth?
telling me I was like 2 days to a close and out there painting the door because last minute one of the underwriters thought it was chipping too much. So anyway, I know that exact feeling of like, okay, there was a last minute, gonna fix it, and then we closed and things were fine. But that's of course on the conventional side.
Yeah.
All right.
Underwriters aren't always right either. They're not always right either. You can fight conditions. I, as a loan officer now, I fight many conditions because I can look at an approval and I can tell if something should be there or not because of my experience and my background. And I many times get things overturned.
Good to know.
I do this with appraisals often, which I don't think many agents recognize, is that you can send them an appraisal packet and all appraisers are like, oh, thank you for this homework that you did for me. And I'm like, yes. And I influenced it the direction that is true, but also the direction I need it to go. And that's just about doing that extra work, right? And being the professional.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to hear. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say appraisers don't know everything that was done to the house if you don't put it out on paper. Even if you verbally tell them, putting it out there, putting a nice packet together, you're going way above and beyond Corianne, sorry. And that's amazing what you do. That definitely would help your clients.
Thank you. That means a lot. You had mentioned that we have a lot of realtors and agents that watch, and that's true, but we probably have an equal, if not greater amount of investors out there who might be starting their journey in investments and not yet have a portfolio. And I feel like this loan is like one of the perfect ones to start collecting properties. Am I right on that? Who's the ideal first-time DSCR?
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of people also think DSCR interest rates are so much higher than conventional. That's incorrect. For a good credit bar, they might be a half a point higher. Sometimes I've even seen them very similar to the conventional rates. And you're not having to provide all your income documentation. It's less evasive, less documentation. I'm not going to say there's no documentation. It's just more minimal. So yeah, I would say that's a perfect client. First-time investors, I mean, it's probably a little easier than trying to purchase a conventional investment property. And yeah, when we allow it. So definitely.
Yeah, this is hope. This is hope for, I think, I can think macro, but act micro. And so when I see the world of investing and how it's going with social media, like anybody with a microphone and a camera can have an opinion. And so it's really important that you be the keeper of your own mind. I'm kind of circling back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation, and to really rewatch this, and to really, for oneself, pull out what's going to be important for you. Because it just seems like there's just so much information out there and not knowing where to start. And starting, when you're young and you can make a lot more mistakes, but sometimes when the life happens, because I'm more in that, age bracket, that we become more cautionary. I don't know why that is. It's like, we're not that close to death. I'm not sure why, but it's like, I don't, sometimes we take risks in some areas and sometimes we don't in others. And money is one of those that becomes a lot more conservative. And so one of the things that I gathered from this conversation is permission. It's permission to actually gather information, permission that there is a place for someone who wants to hang their hat in investing. You don't have to just be a flipper, and you don't just have to go out and get hard money, and you don't have to take on these really macro risks, frankly. I mean, I'm not really built to be a flipper, to be honest with you. It's not my first choice. I mean, I know what it takes to do this, and you have to love it, and you got to be on people like there's no tomorrow, like white on rice. It's like, it's not my thing. I'm white on rice on other stuff. But then could you imagine if you're just sitting there at home, like, well, where's my place in all this? And I don't hear a lot of conversation somewhere. I'm going to call it in the middle. It's like either you're the lender of money that you have, you just outright buy everything because you've got a ton of money, or your family had money, or you're acquiring, the real estate because of family, or it's like, oh my God, I guess I'm just going to do the flips. Again, I don't really hear. So your product has given me, and my listening, more permission. So I'm almost giving voice to other people that might be sitting on their couch watching this particular episode saying, God, maybe I can get in. I didn't come with all this money. Maybe I'm only making, $50,000, $60,000 a year, not including expenses. Like, how do I do this? How do I get out from under this work machine? And I'm assuming that this type of loan could be that answer. Am I wrong from that? Or am I hearing like, at least that's another conversation with you?
No, I mean, there's plenty of properties in that Midwest area that, cash flow really nicely, low dollar, low loan amount, low purchase price. And that something different with DSCR is that we allow, depending on the lender, 3 to 6% seller contribution, where a conventional investment property is limited at 2%. So you could potentially get, more of your closing costs paid for by the seller. And, you don't have to have that. I mean, yes, 20% down, but if you're buying a $60,000 property, that's not too much money for you to have to save and get your first investment property. I just caution to always take a look at the property, always make sure you're having it checked out. There's things that you can't foresee happening. But you want to make sure you're buying in the right area. If you're buying a property that already has tenants, I mean, make sure you're really checking that out. I've personally renovated homes. I've gotten a mess of a trouble when I first got in this business, taking homes down to the studs, putting additions on them. I have a lot of horror stories, but it made me better. I've also purchased homes that had tenants in them and have horror stories from that too. So yeah, I can teach a class on what not to do.
We'll bring you back for that conversation because I've got some horror stories too, and everybody needs to know where the cliff is that others have jumped off so they don't jump. So we're definitely going to have that convo and go more down the direction of your investment side instead of the mortgage gal side. But thank you, because I think this was it, just like Marco said, really informative. If anybody needed a download on what a DSCR is, like this entire hour gives you the layout. So thank you, Liz, for being so generous with your time and your information so that we can all learn and kind of add this, because I agree with Renee. This is one of those ways of entering that many people just don't know about. It's the window off on the side while you're trying to kick down the door that's already open. And the first guy that actually said it to me, where I had to be like, what is that? He was 19 and he was buying his first DSCR loan. So whether you're looking for your retirement plan or you're fresh into real estate, I think it's really wonderful to utilize this. And guess what, guys? You don't have to go learn it all. Liz already knows it all, and she works nationwide. Boom, solved. Who, not how. Liz Lopez is your gal. Now, on our way out, I want to make sure that you get to say, like, this is my ideal client. Hit me up here, when all of that fun stuff. Will you pull up your contact information so we can make sure that people know?
Absolutely. And those people out there just getting started, I would just say, don't wait. I wish I had started buying properties when I was, 19, 20, 21. I wish I had started then. I waited. It's not as scary as you think it is, getting a mortgage. And always have a mentor. If you're new in this business, definitely fall on everybody else around you that's done it before to help you make sure that you're making the right decisions.
Amen to that. And it's funny because real estate in general, and probably more specifically the investment community, it's a gang of lone wolves. So this business is getting more and more challenging to do by yourself. So hit your wagon to a wheel, why not? Like, I may not have known as Liz, and then, I had a business partner that does, and all the things. So yeah, don't be afraid to do that either, guys. Don't need to have your name on the shingle.
Right now, your screen is on us. Move it to something that's not us, or I will create an infinity mirror.
So I put it on the screen that's on us, but it's sitting in front of it. Let me see how
That's funny.
how I did it. Let me try this again.
You guys are gonna get some good contact info.
I'll probably try this. Can you see the other screen?
Oh yeah. Let's see here.
All right, undo that. Take that down.
Boom.
Is that better?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. You can screenshot this, y'all.
Yeah.
Screenshot, zoom in.
I'm on all the social media platforms, but Facebook I'm definitely on the most. I have a lot of other YouTube videos over there that talks about DSCR loans. If you're a loan officer, there's one specific video on there where I'm teaching loan officers about DSCR loans. So there's my phone number and my email, the Easy Lopez at Nexa Mortgage. If you want to schedule a call, there's a Calendly link. However, most of my clients just reach out to me and I just schedule it myself without using the Calendly. And then this bottom link here, the DSCR pricing link. I don't know if you're able to click on it on the screen, but I have a pricing quote. So whenever anybody's like, you know what, I have a property, I'm just not sure what the rate would be or the payment, they fill this out. It's a short 10 questions, no credit pull or anything needed, no app needed for it. It's just a short jot form. Property address, estimated credit score, taxes, insurance, market rent, when did you purchase the property, if it's a refi, what's your LLC structure. It's just the guts of what I need to get more specific pricing, and I'll get you a quote within 24 hours.
Sweet. Wow. Will you drop that, copy paste it into private chat? And I think I've got the permissions to drop it into the comments.
Yeah.
Let's make sure everybody gets it.
Well, thank you, everybody. Please, smash, as the kids say, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Go follow Liz, especially her YouTube. She's got some phenomenal videos there, on the daily, on the weekly. Start educating yourself. You don't have to drink from the fire hose. Just keep it on the background.
Absolutely.
So, it's making me just, let's see, access. To join the chat, I have to connect. Give me 1 second.
Oh, goodness gravy.
You can answer some questions
so
here.
Useful.
An error
Yeah,
occurred.
absolutely.
I'm going to have to put it in the private chat because it won't let me do it in the comments section. If you can't,
drop it
I don't know
there.
if you're able to copy and paste it. And do we have any comments out there? Anybody have questions?
Corianne More asked a question.
Yeah. What benefits have you seen from using them in your rental properties? All right, y'all, here's the form.
What benefits have I seen? Oh, sorry. I thought they were talking to me.
Well, I think, why don't you answer that? Because that's probably going to make more sense on the whole. I wouldn't say it for me. I haven't utilized this loan. So I'm learning about it myself, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a mortgage loan to get into the property. It's not really having to do anything. Once you purchase the property, it's up to you to manage it correctly. Whether it's in a conventional investment property loan or a DSCR, we're just here to get you in that property. Otherwise than that, you got to remember you might have a prepayment penalty. So make sure you know that up front if you're getting into one. because that could surprise you. If you go to the refi or sell your house within that prepayment penalty, you're going to be hit with a fee.
And just to hit the baseline of this again, the real big difference and why you would maybe choose this as a rental loan is they're looking at the debt service ratio coverage or coverage ratio, not your lendability. That's the main
income
difference.
And no job requirements. We don't care if you filed your tax returns. I don't care if you changed jobs 10 times last year, which conventional and government especially, they're going to care about your employment history. Say you're laid off right now or you're retired, you can still get in this loan.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one too, you guys. So for the baby boomers that are transitioning, you know, if you're a tired landlord, I mean, you could go create a financing. That's a different conversation, right? Or this, you know, if you're open to like wanting to buy something for a grandchild maybe, or something of the sort, right? Is that a way to think? So
if you're over leveraged, we don't care. We don't care how many credit cards you have and that they're all maxed out. We're not going to ask. We don't care.
Guys, you heard it from the boss herself. Just a reminder, Ask an Agent Anything is here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. MST, 1 p.m. PST, and we're bringing you the topics that we want to know too. As you can tell here, we were learning right alongside you, and we're bringing the experts that know the most. Liz, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your contact info. Guys, utilize it. You have got an expert right here. Please make sure and hit her up, like and subscribe to all of the things so that you can continue learning. And with that, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Be well. Keep learning.